Now, as your counselor, I'm here to tell you about drugs and alcohol and why they're bad, okay? So, first of all, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. Okay, that about wraps up my introduction. Now, are there any questions? Yes, Stan.
Why do dogs have
3 legs?
Well, I'm not sure.
Oh.
Did you know that 9 legs worth of dogs were used in the making of Alice in Chains' self-titled 1995 album? Or that it would be the final album with vocalist Layne Staley? Which one of the band's hit songs was written as a message to guitarist Jerry Cantrell's ex-girlfriend? Stick around as we answer these questions and more on 10 Fun Facts About Alice in Chains' Self-Titled Album. Number 1. 9 legs worth of dogs. The idea of using a 3-legged dog for the cover of Alice in Chains' self-titled 1995 album was inspired by a real-life 3-legged dog named Tripod, who used to terrorize drummer Sean Kinney during his childhood job as a paperboy. Unfortunately, Tripod was either unavailable or unwilling to pose for a photo shoot, so Kinney hired photographer Rocky Shank to do a 3-legged dog photo shoot near a playground in downtown Los Angeles. However, none of Shank's photos would be used on the album cover, because the band decided to use an image of a 3-legged dog received by fax, because they felt it added an element of grit to the design. This angered Kinney, who was upset about wasting time and money on a photo shoot. Fortunately, Kinney's intended image would finally get a chance to make an appearance on the 1999 box set Music Bank. An entirely separate dog named Sunshine would appear in the music video for Grind. So it basically took 3 different 3-legged dogs in order to create enough material for the album. Number 2. A Few Months of Humanity. Alice in Chains decided to approach songwriting with an element of spontaneity on their 1995 self-titled album, deciding to leave the brooding behind, as singer Layne Staley felt that writing emotional music was taking a toll on his mental health. Guitarist Jerry Cantrell told Rolling Stone, "Our music's kind of about taking something ugly and making it beautiful." Vocalist Layne Staley would add, "I do that every day when I'm dressing. I take an ugly face and make it beautiful. For a long time, I let problems and sour relationships rule over me instead of letting the water roll off my back. I thought it was cool that I could write such dark, depressing music. But then, instead of being therapeutic, it was starting to drag on and keep hurting. This time, I just felt, fuck it, I can write good music, and if I feel easy and I feel like laughing, I can laugh. There's no huge, deep message in any of the songs. It was just what was going on in my head right then. We had good times and we had bad times. We recorded a few months of being human."
I don't know why you cry.
Well, it's over now.
Number 3. Mockumentary. Alice in Chains released a mockumentary in 1995 to help promote their self-titled album. The false documentary titled The Nona Tapes stars guitarist Jerry Cantrell posing as journalist Nona Weisbrunn as she hunts the Seattle streets in search of members of Alice in Chains to interview. Studio executives at Columbia were initially upset with the band for taking their money intended for an electronic press kit and using it to create the Nona tape, but later warmed up to the idea when the VHS developed a cult following. A DVD would later be included with the 2006 compilation album, The Essential Alice in Chains. Number 4. No tour support. Aside from performing a few shows, Alice in Chains never toured to support their self-titled studio album, as the band fell into an extended hiatus following the album's release. The lack of live performances fueled rumors that vocalist Layne Staley or other members of the band were abusing drugs.
I seen them!
Guitarist Jerry Cantrell would explain what the experience was like. "Very frustrating, but we stuck it out. We rode the good times together, and we stuck together through the hard times. We never stabbed each other in the back and spilled our guts and do that kind of bullshit that you see happen a lot. It's something I'm proud of, and like I said, we did it from an honest standpoint. No matter what it was about, we were a true band and a bunch of great friends, and that's what I try to keep my head around anytime anything else comes up."
You know what? I think we're gonna be friends.
Number 5. Out with the Staley, Inez with the New. Alice in Chains' 1995 self-titled album is the first to feature Mike Inez on bass guitar, who previously performed with Ozzy Osbourne. The album would also be the last to include vocalist Layne Staley, as the band would fall into an extended hiatus, which was speculated to have been caused by vocalist Layne Staley's addiction to drugs. However, drummer Sean Kinney would later tell Drum Magazine that Staley wasn't the only reason that the band withdrew from the limelight following the release of their third album. He was the focal point, like singers are, so they'd single him out, but the truth was, it was pretty much everybody. I definitely had my hand firmly on the wheel going off the cliff. And the reason we pulled back, you know when you stop when you have 2 #1 records, it's not really the greatest career move. But we did that because we love each other and we didn't want to die in public. And I know for a fact in my heart that if I were to continue, that I wouldn't be on the phone right now talking to you. I wouldn't have made it. I just wouldn't have.
Like the coldest winter chill, heaven beside you, hell with
Are you dead?
Number 6. $6 Million Man. The opening single on the self-titled Alice in Chains album, titled Grind, was written by guitarist Jerry Cantrell as a statement about the various rumors that surround the band. As Jerry himself explains in the liner notes of the band's Music Bank box set, that was pretty much at the height of publicity about canceled tours, heroin, amputations, everything. Thus, it was another FU for saying something about my life song. Any single rumor you can imagine, I've heard. I've been dead a few times. Layne's been dead countless times and lost limbs. I get on the phone every time I hear a new one. Hey Layne, radio in New York says you lost 2 more fingers. Oh really? Cool. I'd spoof the $6 Million Man. Since technology's moved on, it only cost us $2 million to put Layne back together, and we got better parts. Number 7. Jerry Cantrell's ex-girlfriend. Heaven Beside You was written by Alice in Chains guitarist Jerry Cantrell following a breakup with a girlfriend he had been dating for 7 years. In 1996, he told Rolling Stone, "The most beautiful girl I've seen in my life. I still love her, but I'm too much of a wolf. Kill, attack, move on. It's so tough when you're so used to being hard. You can't tell an oak tree to be a pine." He would later go on to explain in the liner notes of the 1999 box set Music Bank, "Another attempt to reconcile the fact that my life and paths are tearing me apart from the person I love. All the things I write about her are a way for me to maybe speak to her, express things I could never express."
and you know you have it still, heaven inside you.
Number 8. Burp. Not Again. Alice in Chains have allegedly only performed their hit song Again with singer Layne Staley 5 times. Once on The Late Show with David Letterman in 1996, as well as an April 20th performance on Fox's short-lived Saturday Night Special. The other 3 performances happened while the band was supporting Kiss, who had recently reunited.
Just the
The Kiss Tour,
the
Saturday Night Special, and David Letterman.
And then.
no and then
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 And then.
no and then.
And then.
Did you know that I do all of the editing for these videos by myself? Yep, that's right, me, one person, including research, script writing, voiceovers, thumbnails, video editing, promotion. It's a lot of work and requires a full-time job for one person to handle, which I don't mind doing because I love being able to express my humor while also talking about the music that I enjoy. However, it would also be great to have some help improving my content, and that's where I need your help. The easiest way to support this channel is to click the like button. This will help the video get shown to more people. A better way to support this channel is to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This will help you get notified when we release new videos each week. And if you really want to make a big difference, check the description of this video for more ways that you can help this channel grow and support the creation of new content. If you like what we're doing, show us some love and let us know that you're out there. And let us know in the comments what your favorite album is. Perhaps we'll talk about it in a future video. Thank you all so much for your continued love and support. Number 9. Staley's Regrets. It was never a secret that vocalist Layne Staley of Alice in Chains was a user of heroin. However, the singer never intended to romanticize the use of hard drugs and actually felt a bit of regret when he realized that some people took the wrong messages from his craft. As he told Rolling Stone in 1996, "I wrote about drugs and I didn't think I was being unsafe or careless by writing about them. Here's how my thinking pattern went. When I tried drugs, they were great and they worked for me for years, and now they're turning against me, and now I'm walking through hell, and this sucks. I didn't want my fans to think that heroin was cool, but then I've had fans come up to me and give me thumbs up telling me they're high. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen."
Like the coldest winter chill, heaven beside you.
Number 10. Over Now. The Alice in Chains song Over Now, which is essentially a song about the band breaking up, would become a bit of an eerie prophecy following Layne Staley's passing, because it would go down in history as the final song on the final album featuring the late singer. As guitarist Jerry Cantrell told Request magazine, "That's about the band. It's about the breakup that took place between us. Those lines, can you stand right here and look me in the eye and tell me it's over? We couldn't when it came right down to it. Even if it ended today though, I love the guys in this band. Even if we never recorded again, I would be sad, but if it came down to where it's killing us and we're growing too far apart, it's like that line. When it's all worn out, I'd rather go without." Drummer Sean Kinney would also add, "Yeah, the last thing we'd want to do is fall on our faces in front of 30,000 people every night. We didn't want to end up like Fat Elvis, doped up on pills, crying on stage in Vegas."
Grab your walkie. I'll call you when I get up there. Okay.
Pick up, over.
What?
Please say over when you finish talking, over.
What? Over.
Do you see the wire yet, over?
Wait, if you haven't started feeding it, why'd you ask me if I could see it?
Didn't copy that, over.
I said, why'd you ask me if I could see it if you haven't started feeding it? Over.
Oh, that's better, I can hear you now, over. Do you see it yet, over?
You know, you're a jackass. For the record, I don't want to hang out with you anymore when this is over.
When this is what?
Oh, I see the wire.
You see the wire what, over?
Over!
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, you might enjoy our next one. 10 fun facts about Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses by Slipknot.